It's time for another episode of Let's Talk Manufacturing South Carolina, featuring interviews with leaders and influencers across a variety of manufacturing disciplines discussing trending topics in the industry. Let's Talk Manufacturing is part of the Let's Talk Business South Carolina network of B2B talk shows and brought to you by the South Carolina Manufacturing Extension Partnership. And now, coming to you from the Drum Creative Studio, here's your host, longtime South Carolina business publisher, Rick Jenkins.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Manufacturing. We are up to episode number 9. If you are keeping score, as always, I am your host, Rick Jenkins, and I am glad that you found us. As always, episodes of Let's Talk Manufacturing are produced in conjunction with our friends over at SCMEP, or the South Carolina Manufacturing Extension Partnership. Now, SCMEP, if you are not aware, they are a private nonprofit group that serves as really an invaluable resource to South Carolina manufacturers, helping manufacturers do a wide variety of things, from strategy building to coming up with solutions to continuous improvement to strategizing profitability and lean, and you name it. SCMEP can help you with that. I always say manufacturers don't have a better friend in South Carolina than SCMEP. And here to join us for our first conversation today is Deas, and he is actually from SCMEP. He is a process improvement coach. And Stephen, I appreciate you joining us. Welcome to the show.
Rick, thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, sure. I'm glad to have you. You said before we came on the air that you live over in Charleston. You drove over for this, so it's good to have you here. Now, SCMEP, they have an office in Greenville. They have an office in Columbia, and you, of course, work in Charleston, but you do work throughout the state. Tell us what you do.
I do. So my title, I'm a process improvement coach, and so I guess the key word there is the key words are process improvement. So I travel around the state. I can be in the Florence area one day and over in Westminster the next day. I just canvass the entire state, just working with companies, just helping them improve their processes. Like you mentioned at the beginning, my work can involve lean. It can involve just quality improvements. So I do a lot of training. I also do a lot of direct consulting with companies. We really pride ourselves on just being a go-to resource.
That's right.
For manufacturers, and there's so many manufacturers in the state. I mean, we all know the big ones, but there's so many smaller manufacturers, which is what I really enjoy working with. I mean, we call them the under 20s, the under 20 employees. There's just so many of those, and we really pride ourselves on being a good resource for all manufacturers, but really the
ones that need it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Today we're going to talk about quality management systems and what that means to an organization. And before we get into it and talk about all the details, just explain to our viewers what it is.
So if you think about, so I guess we'll focus primarily on manufacturing. So I don't care how big or how small you are. You have a system, and if you think about a system is the totality of everything you do. So it's important to have a system, to have it well defined, and then it's important for that system to continually improve. So a lot of the work that I do with companies is I can help them implement systems. A lot of what I do is auditing systems, just as a checking mechanism, because we want to make sure that the system that you have is working effectively, right? So you have to check yourself. So auditing is a big tool that's used a lot for checking systems. So that's one of the services that I perform. But going back to the smaller companies, I mean, they have to have systems just like any other big company, but typically they don't have an abundance of resources.
Give me an example, Stephen, of a system.
So if you think about, like if I'm a manufacturer, my system delivers. So the technical terms is a system creates output. All right. And the output is going to be, it's probably going to be a product or it could be a service. It just depends on the nature of the organization. But let's just say I create a product.
Yeah.
All right. And so the output of my system goes to a customer, and hopefully the customers are satisfied that they're so everything that's involved in creating that output is what I would call the system. So it could be that initial engagement with the customer where you understand what their requirements are, and then you would quote it for them, and then if the customer accepts it, they give you a purchase order, and then you have to plan the production. All right, so so that's a process. That's planning production, and then obviously you've got to like purchase materials. So that would be like a purchasing side of the business, and then there's just the production itself. Just creating that output, right? And then there's the quality part of it to check it and inspect it to make sure that it meets all the requirements. So there's a lot of stuff going on,
Right.
but all of that together makes up the system.
Right. You're talking about optimization, right?
Well,
You're talking about and going in and helping a manufacturer optimize the things that they do to produce whatever it is they produce.
Yeah, that's kind of in a nutshell. That's what we do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, as you said, every company or every manufacturer is already going to have a system, but you're going to go in there and you are going to look at it from top to bottom,
Yeah.
head to toe, and analyze it and determine where you can do better,
Yeah.
where you can optimize, where you can cut cost, where you can find efficiencies, this type of thing.
Absolutely.
Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it could be it just depends on. So if they're having a lot of customer issues, if the customer is giving them feedback that I don't like the output you're giving me, right? Well, obviously we can help there. Like, so problem solving, we do a lot of problem solving training. Or if you're looking more internally, where maybe it's taking you too much time to create that output, then we can really dig into your processes and find the wasteful activity and help you eliminate the wasteful activity. Because if I can eliminate the wasteful activity, then I can save you time.
Yeah, you talk about a system and the output that comes from it.
Yeah.
How do you know if a system is doing what it's supposed to do?
Yeah.
I suppose that's a sit down and let's talk about what you want.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, there's several ways that happens. Number one, you have to be focused on your customers. Number one, the system needs to know what the customers require. And then you have to know, are my customers satisfied with what they're receiving from me? So you've got to be attentive to what what your customers are telling you. And if they're telling you, if the feedback they're giving you is negative, then you've got to be responsive to that. So that's one way. The other way is just looking more internally. So I mentioned earlier, auditing is a big way. So you need to audit yourself. I mean, you need to don't wait for the customer to tell you if the system is effective or not. You need to know that yourself. So you need to audit yourself. You need to audit all the work that's going on within your system. And
Create benchmarks.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have your metrics. We call them KPIs. I mean, you call them the vital signs. I mean, any organization should have that. You just like, you can call them metrics, vital signs, KPI, key process indicators. You have to measure your own performance.
Now, when you go into a manufacturing operation and you're starting to dive into these types of things, Stephen can't do it all on his own, right?
Okay.
You have to have, I'm assuming, you have vendors that specialize in certain types of systems and different types of manufacturing operations that can help you. How does that work?
The way I look at us, we're like the point person
Yeah.
that goes into an organization. So we have a network of, we call them we have in-house resources. We have other process improvement coaches. Some of us specialize in lean. Some of us specialize in quality.
Right.
Some of us specialize more on like the commercial side, like marketing and website development. I mean, that's all within SCMEP. However, we have outside resources that we can pull from. We call them third party,
Right.
so that we can, and, 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 and we have an incredible network that we can pull from to help manufacturers with whatever they need help with. We're going to get them the resource they need.
Right. What I hear you saying is internally you can handle a lot of it.
Yes.
And if it is something that requires a little additional help, you have a large Rolodex.
We do. I mean, the way we're structured is we have regional vice presidents that we carve up the state. Like we have a vice president that covers the Greenville area.
You had 6 or 7?
Yeah, there's 6 or 7 of them, and so their job is to get to know the manufacturers in the region. Just really be in tune with what they need. And then if, whatever their needs are, just to get them that resource that they need. So, and then my job is to go out and actually carry out the projects based on what those needs are. So, yeah.
Stephen, how can, if someone wants to reach out to SCMEP to find out more information on this type of thing, where should they reach out?
Well, I guess a couple of ways. I mean, we have an incredible website. So I guess it's scmep.org. So if you go there, there's it'll give you a really good overview of all the training that we really are, what all of our services are, which, so pretty good description of our training offerings and also the consulting services that we can offer. And then also, you can see our team, really good description of all our team members and what our backgrounds are. So, yeah. And then obviously, and on that website, you'll see our contact information, like our phone numbers, our email addresses. So
Yeah.
it's easy to get in touch with us.
Yeah.
Primarily on the website. That's the best way to get in touch with us.
Stephen, great info. I appreciate you.
I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you for
Yes.
coming by, folks. That is Stephen Deas. He is a process improvement coach at SCMEP, or the South Carolina Manufacturing Extension Partnership. Now, don't go anywhere, because we got a segment that's coming up that we do from time to time now called From the Factory Floor. And in this segment, I often talk to a plant manager or a facility manager or a similar executive about what's new on the plant floor. And this is a conversation that I had virtually just a little bit ago with Billy Parris. Billy is an engineering manager over at SEW Eurodrive, and they're located out in Welford, a wonderful facility. The segment brought to you by Human Technologies Incorporated, or HTI. Check this out. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this segment of From the Factory Floor. Whether you are joining us from the Let's Talk Manufacturing episode, or maybe you just found this segment on your own. However you did, I am certainly glad that you were here. From the Factory Floor is presented by HTI, or Human Technologies Incorporated. HTI, they are a multifaceted human resource advisory firm providing industrial staffing, professional recruiting, and a wide variety of HR solutions and consulting services. I appreciate HTI for helping to make it possible for us to bring this type of content to the manufacturing community in South Carolina. All right, I am now joined by Billy Parris. Billy is the engineering manager at SEW Eurodrive. I was out there just recently. Incredibly impressive facility. Billy, engineering manager there. How are you, pal?
Doing wonderful. How are you today, Rick?
I'm doing really good. Now, you and I met not too long ago. I came out to your facility and I got a little tour, and I looked around, and I can see the spot there over your left shoulder is exactly where I was walking around. It is a gorgeous facility that is so clean I could eat off the floor, right?
Yeah, the owners, it's a family-owned business, and they're very proud of the innovation, but also just the cleanliness and the aesthetic appeal that the facilities have here in the U.S. So makes it a wonderful place to come and be every day.
Yeah, I can imagine. Now, it's a German owned company. Is that correct?
That's correct. The two brothers that were running the company when I came on 33 years ago were handed the business from their father, who ran it for many, many decades. And Now, one of those brothers who was running the U.S. operation is back in Germany after the retirement of his older brother, running the global operations, and his two sons are now here running the North American operations here. And it's a very family-oriented business, and it still feels that way, although it's quite a large operation.
You guys, and I want to make sure I have this right now, you guys design and manufacturing and sell a variety of drive systems and automation technology. Is that correct?
That is from the basics of a enclosed gearbox with an integral AC motor into servo products, large industrial gearing, and all sorts of automation and controls that surround those products. That's the core of our product. Yes.
Like I said, I was out there and was surprised at how large your facility was. Give us an idea of the square footage we're talking about. You've got a number of buildings, a very large footprint.
Exactly. In this campus here in Lyman, South Carolina, there are 7 buildings comprising over 1 million square feet of enclosed space. And we have 3 basic operations: a manufacturing operation, a large industrial gearing operation, and then this 280,000 square foot assembly operation for our core gear motor product and our electronic product for the U.S.
Got it. Billy, you all have a best practice consulting group that you and I have discussed before, and you all are constantly, as we've been alluding to during this conversation, constantly looking to optimize your workflow and make things even more efficient. Tell me how that consulting group works.
Well, the background of that working group in Germany is a consultancy, but because we have so many assembly plants around the world doing essentially the same thing, we make the same products, maybe some slight variations for voltage and things that vary from country to country, but assembling gears and motors is a very manual and precise process, and automation and efficiency gains come with difficulty. And so as our technical groups in those assembly plants around the world have innovated and made small strides and steps at automating those processes of assembly, this working group consultancy out of Germany has gathered up those best practices and can come into an assembly plant like this, whether it be a new one or a planned new one, or even an existing one that's been operating for decades, and make recommendations based on your product mix and what your customers are buying on the best practices, how to improve your efficiency in assembling, how to bring in the necessary automation if your volume is high enough, whether that be automated pressing, automated oil filling, and even brings to bear some of our very own automation products that we make for our customers. For instance, electrified monorail systems to move products through paint systems, automated guided vehicle systems to move products from one cell to another through the plant much more efficiently than having skilled workers pushing carts around all day. We can utilize those resources much better. And we do have a dedicated resource that works out of that consulting group right here in my group in the U.S., working not only in this plant, but in all our U.S. plants.
Billy, you mentioned automated guided vehicles, or as you all refer to them, AGVs. And I'm going to get you out of here on this. When I was up there a while back and I was taking that tour, it seems like I saw dozens of AGVs that were going around and doing their little thing. Now, these are kind of square units, and I watched them do all kinds of things. Tell us a little bit about the AGVs.
Well, it's one thing to make a core product that's capable of taking electricity and converting that into motion. But then there's a certain level of sophistication associated with controlling that motion. And that's something that Eurodrive brings to its customers and to ourselves. Because we make the electronic controls, we have the highest level software development and engineers. We can make these vehicles seem like they have a mind of their own. In fact, they're controlled by a an overarching guidance system and a traffic control system that knows where to send which vehicle and what to do when it gets there, where it needs to go next with whatever product it is absorbed or having dispensed, going back to a queue to wait to be called again. It does this without any in-floor guidance. We do have contactless energy charging in the floor, and that just allows these to continuously charge while they're on the move or sitting in a queue. But it means we don't have to plug them in at night and charge up a big battery. They just run all day and go where they're needed. And they rarely call in sick, but we do have some support capability built in right behind me here to service them as they're needed. And we do all this not just for our own operation, but we do this for other customers as well. So these are our products put into use here to make our products for other people who may want to use that same technology in an automotive plant or another plant like that could take benefit of these automated guided vehicles.
Yeah, just clarifying what you said. You all manufacture that product. You all manufacture the AGV, and you are also sell it to other manufacturing facilities that may want that type of technology, correct?
Exactly. And that's not a real plug and play kind of product. It needs that overhead software and integration solution. So we also bring those engineering services into your plant, spend the weeks that it takes doing the software and traffic control systems, make all that work just like you want it to and need it to. So,
Billy, great stuff. I appreciate you joining us. Thanks for taking a few minutes. I know you're busy.
no problem at all.
Folks, that is Billy Parris. He is the engineering manager up at SEW Eurodrive. If you get a chance, if you are a plant manager, a facility manager, or a manufacturing executive that wants to go out to a facility and see an incredibly well-oiled machine, then I suggest that you get a hold of these guys and take a look up at SEW Eurodrive. Folks, that is another segment of From the Factory Floor. Once again, it is brought to you and made possible by our friends at HTI or Human Technologies Incorporated. Thanks for joining us.